I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling on my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of race number 13 of the second season of the NNSCRA Duracell Ultra Lite Series. Getting ready to continue our race weekend here from the Hillside Raceway as we are getting set for 120 laps of action. This racetrack was originally, at least last season, in the playoffs for the Cup Series drivers. Has been moved here to right around the middle portion of the regular season. It's around the halfway mark here for these Duracell Ultra Lite Series drivers, and it's just about on the road towards the playoffs for these drivers as well. We've already seen a lot of drivers go to victory lane here. 12 races in the books, and we've had 11 different drivers go to victory lane. Only one driver with multiple wins on the season, which is making things very convoluted for the drivers trying to either point their way in or get some wild card spots. Right now, coming into this one, we've got 5 drivers eligible for 3 wild card positions, and I'm just expecting to see the waters get muddied even more as we progress further towards the regular season finale at Auto Club Speedway. We may be able to add a 12th different driver's name in Victory Circle by the end of this afternoon. We've got some candidates up here at the front. Chris Dollerton, he's been on a bit of a skid as of late. A few weeks ago, Dollerton found himself up in the top 7 in the point standings, was sitting pretty to maybe point his way into the playoffs, but since then he's dropped 4 spots in the last 2 weeks. He finds himself currently situated 11th in overall points. Starting on the pole here today, a track that track position could come into play, especially in the latter stages of this race. Could play to his benefit, looking for his first win on the season. Former champion, of course, in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, and alongside of him is Craig Batson. Now, Craig, obviously, as we have well documented, he started out the season a lot later than other drivers. He didn't make his series debut until Pocono race number 4. He did find victory lane, however, at Texas Motor Speedway. He's trying to get himself up high enough in the point standings to account for a wild card position. A big thing that would help his efforts if he got a second win here today, he would leapfrog 5 other drivers that have one victory ahead of him in the point standings and would shoot up to the number 1 wild card seed. As mentioned a few weeks ago for Craig, right now it's just find victory lane as many times as possible and worry about points later on. He is mathematically able to be able to pass some drivers in the point standings even as early as this week, dependent on a good finish, but a win would make everything a lot easier for the driver of the number 91 of KB Racing Enterprises. And then row number 2, some momentum for Trackhouse Racing as they saw driver Juan Garcia go to victory lane last time out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. One of 2 drivers out of that organization have gone to victory lane so far this season, the other being Roberto Crown Jr. The 2 drivers that have not won out of that organization lined up there in row number 2, the 20 of Eli Bright and the 11, which this week is, I believe, being driven by Sarah Fogelman. So we'll see if they go to victory lane here. Toyota on a good streak as of right now, and they looked really strong. A lot of the Toyotas looked really strong in qualifying Was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday. Apologies. The qualifying session and these race sessions are being recorded a couple of weeks apart, so I'm having to kind of remind myself of what went down in the qualifying sessions. But you know what? Let's go down trackside. Let's get back into the swing of things, and let's get those most famous words in motorsports before we tell you what the point standings look like as far as your playoffs are concerned coming into this week at Hillside Raceway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Bottom right of your screen, you'll see your 29 car starting lineup for this afternoon's race from Hillside. Playoff standings coming into this race look as follows. Cam Wright Jr. holds a 12-point advantage over Roberto Crown Jr. Jordan Anderson jumped up to third in overall points after last time out at Charlotte. Jackson Haywood currently fourth, Kyle Langland fifth, David Dixon sixth, and Skylar Taylor dropped 3 spots. He is now the last driver currently in on points in the 7th position. Juan Garcia with his victory at Charlotte jumped up 8 spots to 8th in the overall standings. He's in the number 1 wildcard position as Great Flag is in the air. Second wildcard spot right now is Aubrey Powell, 10th in points, and then Dave Smith holds the final wildcard spot, the 3rd wildcard seed. He currently sits 16th in overall standings. Close battle for that wildcard spot, though, as Cole Koibe is 17th in points, right behind Dave Smith by 1 point. And then Michael Turner sits 20th in the standings. He is, I believe, 17 points below that 3rd wildcard spot, and Craig Batson is currently 26th in the standings. As mentioned, right now he really just needs to find victory lane again in order to make his situation easier to get into the postseason. Dollarton to the lead, Eli Bright moves into second, Daniel Voiles into third, and Bright will look to the inside. The Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang for the top position. Drag race to the stripe. Give it to Eli Bright by half a car length, and he'll have the inside line advantage here through 1 and 2. 3 wide for third, Sean Galligan with a move to the bottom. Great to see Sean Galligan's Craftsman Cup Series coming back to YouTube. One of the OG staples of the Enter 2003 offline community. As a matter of fact, many people may not be aware of this, but it is the reason that the organization known as the NNSCRA that has brought you the multiple series here on this channel, going all the way back to the Mobile One Cup Series, the Oreo Truck Series, the Snickers Cup Series, the Hershey's Cup Series, even here to the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series and Ultra Lite Series. Craftsman Cup Series played a significant role into the organization of the NNSCRA even existing. Craig Batson now with a move on Eli Bright for the race lead, as side by side for second, Michael Turner, former winner at Las Vegas this season, looking for his 2nd win on the year. Do have a few Cup Series interlopers this weekend that we will see in tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race, and they're lined up on that inside right now. Daniel Voiles in the 23, who's running full-time here in Lights to try and help as far as data is concerned for Kyle Langland. Not running 4 points, however, and right behind him, Dylan Young in the 16, the all-star car out of Bishop Family Racing. Dylan making his 3rd start on the season, 1 top 10 in his 2 previous starts in this all-star machine. And I think we have one other driver that's pulling double duty this week. Well, we, in a sense, do, I believe. Well, Yeah, I think we have a Lite Series driver that's going to be in the Cup race tomorrow. I think that's actually who it is. I believe Kyle Langland is actually going to be in the Cup Series race tomorrow. So as far as the Cup Series drivers here, though, only 2 of them in the field for this Lites race. Sarah Fogelman now out in front in the 11 car. Sarah flip-flops this machine out of Trackhouse Racing with team owner Reggie Fogelman. Thusly, Sarah has only made 5 of the 12 races so far this season. You'd have to wonder if Sarah were to find victory lane this afternoon, if plans would change in that regard to put her full time in the 11 to try and get up into a playoff position. As here comes Craig Batson back to the inside. Battle is on for 4th. How about Wes McCoy? Good run here in the early going for the driver out of Haas Racing. You know, you look at the drivers in contention right now for playoff positions. You also need to look at drivers that this is the turning point. This is where they have to start getting things turned around if they're going to have a shot at the postseason. Drivers like Wes McCoy, Mike Tellier, Brody Kupski, Sean Galligan, Nathan Fogler. They're not out of it yet, but as of right now, they're kind of more in must-win territory to be able to fight for a wild card spot, because you know, it may not seem like it, but including today, we've only got 8 races left here before we put that playoff grid together. And yes, you could definitely string together 8 top 5s, even top 10s, to maybe get yourself up into the top 7 in the point stands if you haven't dug the hole too deep here in the first 12 races. But with that being said, there's no guarantees, especially when you look at the racetracks that we've got coming up here. I mean, next week we're short track racing, Iowa Speedway. We've got Chicago Motor Speedway coming up, Kentucky Speedway. A lot of these racetracks that I'm naming off, a lot of them to me are really going to be track position racetracks. Kentucky I don't think would fit necessarily as much into that category. I think you'll see more of a long run fuel strategy type race there. But time is ticking. And I feel like for a lot of those drivers that I just listed off, it would make their situation so much easier to fight for a playoff position if they had at least a 1 in the win column. Ford, Toyota, 4-car breakaway up here at the front. Then a couple more Fords in 5th and 6th. Craig Batson continuing to show the way. Mentioned Craig has a victory back at the Texas Motor Speedway. Hillside, about a mile in length, high-banked racetrack. A lot of drivers, in some sense, have kind of called this like a mini super speedway, the way that it races. Though normally you don't end up seeing there be like a high line that forms and is able to fight with the bottom like you would at a Talladega or a Daytona. Especially for the reason that you'll see as they come off the corner. Watch how the cars kind of push up to the wall. They need that banking to be able to make the corner. Not really much room for 2 lanes off of 2 and 4 without the outside line getting squeezed up. Let's look a little further back here in the field. See some other drivers that are in the latter portion of the top 10. I believe we've got 3 of the Haas Racing Toyota's Supras in the top 10 right now. We documented Wes McCoy up there, currently holding on to the 4th position. You're looking at Colin Grace. Colin coming into this one 12th in the standings with a shot of being able to point up into the top 7. Just had a move made on him by Nathan Stapleton in the 97. Nathan coming into this one 18th in points, jumped up 2 spots in the standings at the conclusion of last time out's race at Charlotte. So on the uprise as far as momentum right now. And looking good here, taking the 8th position from Colin Grace. And same will be for Aubrey Powell, dropping Colin back from 8th to 10th. Aubrey Powell, former winner on the season back at Pocono. And Aubrey coming into this one currently holding the second wild card spot. 10th in overall points. Good run today. Could put Aubrey back up and into the top 7 in the standings. Wouldn't have to rely on that victory, but little added insurance nonetheless for the Interstate Batteries Toyota. Dollerton, after starting on the pole, got kicked out all the way outside of the top 10. He currently rides in the 11th spot. And keep an eye on Skylar Taylor here this afternoon as well. Taylor started out the season strong, found victory lane in the opener at Daytona. Was in that points battle with Roberta Crown Jr. and Cam Wright Jr. and Jackson Haywood in the early going of the year. But since then, progressively, the luck has seemed to be running out for the driver out of ST Racing. Skylar now out of the top 7, or actually now down in the 7th position in points, almost out of the top 7 in the standings. Has the victory, obviously, as mentioned, but you look at Skylar Taylor, a lot of people kind of eyed him as the maybe #1 contender for the championship coming into this season after being a multi-time winner last year, having only run a portion of the schedule. And of course, back in Season 1 of Lights, we didn't have a playoff system. Otherwise, Skylar would have easily been in contention. We ran just the classic kind of NASCAR point system where it was whoever accumulated the most points at the end of the season would win the championship. Eric Monaco, of course, winning the championship in the inaugural season. This season, with the playoff standings and the playoff format implemented, a lot of people thought that that was going to fit right into Skylar Taylor's wheelhouse, but we also have to remember as well, it's a longer schedule. We're running a lot more different racetracks. It's a bigger field than we had in the Light Series last season, and it's an entirely different car as well. Last season, we drove the ARCA car, the old Gen 6 machines. We're now in the 2020 Xfinity cars, so there is a slight period of adjustment that has to take place there. It's not the same as it was back in the inaugural season, though Skylar seemed to adapt very quickly with that early win at Daytona. But we'll see what the 29 is able to do here this weekend, as we are now 30 laps into this race. Craig Batson continues to show the way. We've only had 4 different drivers out in front so far here in these first 30 laps, and Batson has led the most. He will lead his 21st lap if he can hold off Eli Bright this time by, which indeed he will do. Racking up all those valuable points. You get a bonus point for a lap led, you get a bonus point for most laps led. And Craig Batson would love to lock that up, but Eli Bright, who has led 4 laps so far here this afternoon, hounding for that top position. And Eli's been close a couple of times here this season. Of course, memory immediately goes back to Sonoma, where Eli looked like he had the strongest car, but ended up having to come to pit road for an unscheduled pit stop. It cost him a shot at the victory, and Eli is hovering in the top 10 in overall standings, 9th in points. A victory could put him into the playoff conversation here this afternoon, as things got really stacked up behind him with Dylan Young and Sarah Fogelman. Young's going to hang on to the 3rd spot. Fogelman falls back now into the clutches of a number of other Toyotas. Aubrey Powell, Colin Grace, Wes McCoy back there. Pole sitter Chris Dollerton making his way back up to the front as well. And D. Young going to look to the inside of Eli Bright for the 2nd position. Not going to be able to make the move there. Out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. As now Sarah Fogelman stuck on the top side going backwards. Definitely looks like that 2nd groove has not rubbered in. Number of drivers been kicked up there and have faded back. So a matter of holding the bottom, at least for right now. I kind of wondered as the run goes on and the tires start to go away if maybe it was going to be a lot more difficult for drivers to hold that inside line, and it would allow the 2nd groove to maybe find something kind of like what Eli Bright's doing right there. That little bit of a higher arc off the corner, get that momentum down the straightaway. Granted, they aren't very long straightaways, so you don't have that momentum for very long, but any momentum is good momentum usually. Thought we might see the groove move up a little bit. You see a little bit there where Craig Batson ran about maybe a car length up off the bottom through 3 and 4. Only about half a car length there, as he's pretty much pinned to the bottom through 1 and 2. It's Dylan Young with a dive to the inside on Eli Bright, but doesn't look like the back end of the car hung on very well. Saw him have to lift to get that car planted. Tried to utilize that momentum, but looks like you got to be almost to the left rear quarter panel, if not halfway alongside of the driver you're battling before you get to the corner in order to be able to complete a pass. Eli Bright dives it in there. And nice move by Craig Batson, a little defensive move there as he pulled down across the right front quarter panel of Eli Bright, put the dirty air on the nose, and look at the gap over a car length there from the 91 back to the 20 after the 20 had to lift big on the entry to the corner. So it is definitely looking like, barring any issues in the later portions of this race, if we got late race restarts, track position is going to be very, very valuable. Well, Craig Batson looking really good right now here for KB Racing Enterprises, but his teammates are struggling. Last 2 cars in the field right now are the other 2 entries, the 93, Jackson Haywood, the 39, Cat Batson, 28th and 29th as things are currently running. Now they are up here at the tail end of the pack. They haven't lost touch with anybody, so they're still in position to gain spots if they can find something here. But some other notables back here. You've got Juan Garcia, the winner from last time out at Charlotte, not looking all that good here in the early going, as he's going to get kicked up to the outside line, and he's going to drop to dead last here in a matter of a couple of corners. Also, Dave Smith, who is in the final playoff position coming into this one. He's in the 3rd wildcard spot as things were scored coming into this race. Had only 1 point advantage between himself and Cole Koibe, who is currently running ahead in the 20th position. So if we were looking at live point standings, then Dave Smith would be out. Koibe would effectively be in. You've also got David Dixon back here. David, multi-time winner last season. 6th in points coming into this one. Former winner on the season back at Phoenix, but he's right now in the 24th position. Autumn Brooks, who's had a good season put together. Autumn coming into this one 13th in points, gained a couple spots after Charlotte. Right now in 22nd, and Roberto Crown Jr., Cam Wright Jr., that battle for the points lead. Right now, those two, 19th and 21st. A couple of drivers have been keeping an eye on the scoring monitor that are definitely looking like they have good long-run cars. Started towards the back, are working their way steadily towards the front. Mike Tellier in the 17 is one of those. He is currently now up in the 8th position and looking for more in that 3M Ford Mustang. He's actually side by side with his teammate Dylan Young there, looking to take the 7th spot. Another driver I've noticed is working his way up. That's Ralph Mason. Ralph's up to 17th. That may not seem like much, but Ralph started shotgun on the field, or at least towards the rear of the field, I should say. And he's done a good job of picking up some positions. Keep an eye on these drivers, because if we continue to trend this way and we end up seeing this thing go into a massive long green flag run, maybe even fingers crossed, green flag the whole race, the long run cars are going to benefit the most. This racetrack, though, is very unusual in terms of its layout for pit road. Drivers will come to pit lane exiting out of turn 4, but they will, or entering into turn 1, but they will exit pit road coming out of turn 4. So there's almost, in a way, an intersection that takes place. And that intersection can make things very interesting with drivers coming in or drivers merging out. And that is a big reason why we ended up having the schedule change on the Cup Series side. Hillside normally was a playoff race, but because of the convoluted pit road issues, it was decided by NNSCRA officials they didn't want drivers' eligibility of moving on to the next round of a championship battle really affected by something like that, which is why it was moved into the middle portion of the schedule. Colin Grace putting some good pressure on Craig Batson, but not yet able to make the move, showing the nose to the inside. You saw the flames coming out of the tailpipes there, had to bail out of the throttle though. There just doesn't seem to be enough security for these drivers with these worn tires to dive it in and make it stick. You got to arc the corner in order to be able to rotate it through the center, be able to get to point off corner exit. As now Aubrey Powell going to enter into this mix as well. 3-car fight for the top spot. Then a long ways back, it's now almost 9/10 of a second. Make that 1.1 seconds from third even just back to fourth place, which right now is Eli Bright in the 20 with Wes McCoy and Dylan Young. I think a big reason was we were side by side from fourth place on back. That allowed first through third to be able to pull away a little bit, being single file. Now they're going to start catching up as here we go. Colin Grace found his way to the inside of Craig Batson, and Grace is going to go to the point. First time the 27 will be out in front here this afternoon. So very patient, very methodical for Colin Grace. Kept showing the nose on Craig Batson, eventually got to the inside, completes the pass, and new race leader here at Hillside, I should say. Aubrey Powell, teammate, gonna slot into second. Batson, though, almost contact as he'll move Powell up the racetrack and look to take the second spot back. Looks like right there was kind of what you need to do. Almost get into that left rear, move the other driver up out of the racing groove to be able to make a pass. That might have been how Colin Grace got around Batson for the top position. And now look, as side by side for seconds, going to stack everybody behind them up. 3 wide, Eli Bright way up out of the dark gray. He's going to fade back quickly. Wes McCoy also paying the price. Mike Tellier just made a couple of passes in one corner. 17 now going to move up into the 5th position, right behind his teammate. Now, we don't know exactly what the fuel window is for these drivers. What we do know is they can't make it 120 laps on what they've got in the tank. So these drivers at least are looking to complete the next 4 to 5 laps, get to halfway, knowing that they'll be able to make it the rest of the scheduled distance on one pit stop. But how far do you go? I mean, looking right now, and granted a lot of traffic and whatnot would come into play, he's just now dealing with clean air for the first time, but Colin Grace, fastest lap so far this race for him was a 21.848. Last time by, even with clean air, 22.635. That is 0.8 of a second difference between his fastest lap and the laps he's running now, 60 laps into this run. That's a lot of time you can gain on pit road with a solid pit stop, especially when you consider the fact you can throw a blanket over the top 5 right now. Top 5 last time by were separated by only 7.5 of a second. So right there, Mike Tellier, if he kind of played the numbers, if he hit the delta right, he'd go from 5th to the race lead on fresh tires if he were able to pit a couple of laps sooner than the rest of his competition, which Aubrey Powell right there. I don't know if Aubrey was playing defense or what, but how about that? Craig Batson jumped to the outside, got to the right rear quarter panel, and he's trying to utilize the second groove now to get back to the runner-up spot. Dylan Young going to jump up there as well. So maybe that second lane is starting to come into play a little bit here now. Batson's still not able to complete the pass, and I think Powell's going to have him clear going into turn 1. Ooh, Craig very high. Dylan Young's going to stick him way up there, and that's not going to be good for the 91. Whoa, he almost got hit right there in the left rear by Nathan Stapleton, who got tight off the corner. So Batson, who's led 43 laps so far this afternoon, about to drop out of the top 5. Top 2 with a bit of daylight, a little bit of breathing space. Back to the Young Motorsports Fords. Actually 3 Fords there. Add in Stapleton's NS Racing Mustang. That's 3rd through 5th, trying to run down a couple of Supras. Reminder, tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we cap off our race weekend here from Hillside. Continue the push towards the playoffs for the Season 8 Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers. Just look how Mike Tellier was able to lead these 3 cars up here to run down the top 2, and he's going to have a pretty good run here. Not able to do much with it. Kind of showed the nose there. I don't think he was close enough to make a move. But they get themselves single-filed out, and you can have a group of 3 or 4 drivers make up a lot of ground. That might be something important as well. I mentioned about the fact drivers kind of consider this like a little super speedway, and that's another aspect of it, as Mike really had to bail out of the throttle there, and his teammate Dylan Young's going to swing around him. That might have been by design. Looked like Mike might have actually let the 16 around him. But, you know, you consider the fact that what we're seeing here with the single line speed and a group of cars being able to reel in another group of cars, that's something that the drivers are going to have to strategize as well for when they come to pit road. I mean, I would assume the 27 and the 71, they'll come to pit road together. The 16 and the 17, they'll come to pit road together. Trying to look back and see if there's any other teammates in close proximity. You actually do have the 23 and the 26 out of World NOS Racing somewhat close to each other. There is Daniel Voiles, and then a few cars back is the 26 of Kyle Langland. So you'd have to assume that there's some communication there with them. You've got Eli Bright right now up here holding down the 9th position. His Trackhouse Racing teammates that we saw up here in the early going, they have since faded back. Sarah Fogelman's now fallen back to the 19th position. Next highest teammate right now would be the 18, and that's Roberto Crown Jr., who's made his way up to 15th place, which is actually kind of interesting in that regard because he has now gotten around Cam Wright Jr. The last time we checked, he was 2 positions behind the 95. Cam has fallen now back into the 24th spot, so that'd be 9 points gained by Roberto Crown Jr. and Cam Wright Jr. as currently scored. That would whittle down the points advantage of Cam to Roberto 3 points heading into next week, and we haven't even finished off this race yet. We've just crossed the halfway point, so lock and change between now and then is, well, Mike Tellier now starting to fade back. Wes McCoy's going to get to the inside of him for the 4th position. Meanwhile, Dylan Young putting pressure on Aubrey Powell, trying to make his way up into 2nd. The All-Star car out of Bishop Family Racing has had all 4 of the Young Motorsports drivers behind the wheel. Young, Bishop, Dustin Bolin, and Eric Sadler. RJ has run the most races behind the wheel of that race car, 5 races. Dylan making his 3rd start in the All-Star car. And then Eric Sadler has made 1, Dustin Bolin has made 3. And I believe out of those 4 drivers, I believe RJ has the best finish. He's got 3 top 5s in the All-Star car. Dustin Bolin has 1. But, you know, with how Dylan's looking here this afternoon, might have to look at that 2 car tomorrow afternoon, because he's done a very good job here in the Lite Series race. We are nearly 75 laps into this race, closing in on 45 laps to go. When do you make that pit stop? They're gonna have to. Yeah, the pace is back down. They're running anywhere from 8 to 9 tenths of a second slower than their fastest laps, but at some point, they're going to have to pit, I feel. We've been told they can't make it on fuel, and that was accounting for the pace slowing as the run went on. And we got a car down the apron there right now. That is Daniel Voiles. He's coming to pit lane, but this does not look like this is regularly scheduled. He didn't come to pit road on the normal entry. Something amiss on the Mario Golf number 23. We'll try and follow up on that. As Colin Grace has clocked in with the fastest lap of the race so far as well. Colin with a 21.848. That equates to 164.775 miles per hour. So that speed that occurred in the early going translating to good long run speed as he was able to fight his way up to the front. Currently holds the top position and currently has been out in front for 25, now going on 26 laps when he comes around to the stripe. Boyle still on pit road, it looked like there. That had the looks of a mechanical problem as he was slow out of turn 4, making his way towards pit lane. I wondered if that was going to be the start of green flag pit stops, but obvious answer is no. All right, pace is back down. These cars are a handful. What does it feel like? Let's go behind the wheel of the 3M Ford Mustang of Mike Tellier as green flag pit stops potentially looming here at Hillside. Mike Tellier looking on at this battle up ahead of him, the top 5, as he'll make his way around the 8 of Wes McCoy. And while we're on board with Tellier, a thought kind of popped into my mind here. You ended up seeing Mike Tellier move low, let Dylan Young around him. We just saw Wes McCoy do the same. Is that a way of driver saving fuel? Are they throwing in the clutch, coasting it through that corner, letting drivers on by? If we're really close on the numbers, maybe, just maybe, we could see some drivers try and stretch it to the end. We do have a driver on pit road. Couldn't tell who that was. Here comes Sarah Fogelman in. Now this is a regularly scheduled stop. This is how they approach pit lane. The other driver that I saw there was Skylar Taylor. Looks like either Galligan or Mason is in. Couldn't tell which one. Well, there's Mason, so it was Galligan. And Craig Batson also was on pit road. Here comes some more. Dollerton, the pole sitter, Eli Bright, Dylan Young on pit road from the top 5. So green flag pit stops begin. Here comes Roberta Crown Jr., Autumn Brooks, Michael Turner, David Dixon, Kat Batson. Couple more drivers from the top 5 just dove onto pit lane. Update on Daniel Voiles. They had the hood up on the 23. They then put it down, pushed him behind the wall. Mechanical failure going to take him out of this race. We're being told an engine header going amiss on the 23 car. Here come the teammates from first and second. Colin Grace and Aubrey Powell. Now, they've been leapfrogged in terms of drivers coming down to take on fresh tires. Will they still emerge in first and second? Mason's coming in. He ran long along with Brody Kupski. Here's the driver I would look at as maybe who could take advantage of fresh tires and cycle out here to the front. The 16 of Dylan Young. Well, actually, check that, because Mike Tellier leapfrogged his teammate. So it could end up being Mike who ends up being the race leader, but his teammate's going to be right there with him. And Dylan may not waste any time. He's going to look to the inside here for what could eventually be the race lead. I believe that's Colin Grace just up ahead, and Aubrey Powell. Aubrey Powell with a faster pit stop than teammate in the 27. And here is your battle potentially for the race win. The 71, the 27, the 16, the 17. Teammates versus teammates. And only one of those drivers have a victory this season. That's the 71 of Aubrey Powell. Now with fresh rubber and 30 laps to go, Dylan Young putting the pressure on Aubrey Powell. Mike Tellier now going to look to the inside of his teammate for second place. Tellier on the move. I do have to check back here, but I do believe that we have never had yet, since the inception of the Duracell Ultra Lite series, I believe we have yet to have a driver win both a Duracell Ultra Lite series race and a Duracell Next Gen Cup series race in their career. And as I'm looking back here through last season's finishing results and whatnot, that is correct. Mike Tellier, who is now out in front, could be the first. He ended up picking up the victory at Homestead Miami Speedway back in Season 5 when he was part of the three-driver team at Gunther Motorsports with Nick Gunther and Anthony McCrory. But he's going to lose the lead here. Dylan Young is eligible to also fit into that category, as he'll now move into second place. And look who's up here in the conversation as well. How about Nathan Stapleton in the 97? Nathan, 18th in points. A win would put him forefront into the wild card conversation. And he's going to slot onto the podium in third place for the time being. Colin Grace found his way back up to the front. And how about this for a development? After the green flag pit stop cycle was complete, 28 cars still running, 28 cars on the lead lap. Guess who the last driver is right now? Well, was Cam Wright Jr. He's now going to take the 27th spot from Dave Smith. But that pit stop cycle did not pan out well for the driver that came into this race, the points leader. Dave Smith, who came in the final wildcard spot, the last car running right now. One driver out of the race, that being Daniel Voiles. Closing in on 20 to go. Colin Grace out in front, looking for what would be the second win on the season, I believe, for Haas Racing. And looking to potentially lock up a playoff position. Correction, to be the third driver to go to victory lane for Haas Racing. Powell at Pocono, Cole Koibe back at Manassas. Colin Grace coming into this one was a total of 29 points. Correction, 31 points behind 7th in the standings. Colin, in a few laps, will get the bonus point for most laps led. This next time by at the stripe, Colin Grace will complete his 43rd lap out in front, which ties him for most laps led with Craig Batson. If he surpasses Craig, then he's got most laps led on the afternoon. And right now could accumulate enough points to point his way up into the top 7. If he's able to close out this victory, you get 5 extra bonus points as well for winning the race. Certainly it's going to put him up into a wild card position. We know that. That is if he wins. Here's some moves being made back here. Third place, Nathan Stapleton showing the nose on Dylan Young. Young continuing to put the pressure on the Exalta Toyota. And don't count out Aubrey Powell. Aubrey Powell still in the hunt. Sixth place on back. This is almost 4 seconds behind that 5-car battle, but it's good as well. Eli Bright, Sean Galligan, Wes McCoy, Craig Batson all here. Right now, Chris Dalton, the pole sitter, holding the 10th position. Ooh, a lot of movement up here as Nathan Stapleton, looks like he was able to shuffle Dylan Young out of line. So now he'll move to second. Battle will be for third. Powell to the inside of Young. Now Stapleton, this is the highest he's been all afternoon. What does he have for Colin Grace? Colin does not have the fastest lap of the race either after the green flag pit stop cycle. Driver's able to take advantage of that fresh rubber. Cody Majoric now with the fastest lap of the race at a 21.826. Majoric, however, mired back in the 18th position. And now Nathan Stapleton finds himself surrounded by a couple of Haas Racing Toyota Supras. Aubrey Powell with a move to the inside, but look at that, able to rotate through the center in that middle lane. Stapleton will hang on. It loses him a little bit of ground to Colin Grace, however. He'll look to wind that rubber band back up, catch back up, and see what he can do to make a move on Grace for the top position. Powell again looking low on Stapleton. Might be playing more defense for his teammate than anything, because that is taking away the line that Stapleton wants to run on the entry to the corner. He's doing a good job of holding the 71 off, but his focus is in the rearview mirror rather than out the windshield. Nice corner there by Stapleton. He's going to close up the gap to less than a car length going into 3. Five-car battle at the front. We have been clean and green since the drop of the green flag to begin this thing. Saw a round of green flag pit stops, and Stapleton's going for the lead. Got to the left rear quarter panel of Colin Grace. He'll clear for the top position. Powell will move into second. Dylan Young trying to force it up the middle there in a 3-wide battle for third. Stapleton just going to clear across the nose of the Interstate Batteries Toyota of Aubrey Powell. Just like that, Colin Grace now falls back into a battle for third place with the Bishop Family Racing Fords at the front. Stapleton, rear bumper full of the 71 of Aubrey Powell. Now the field got very spread out. We do have traffic up ahead. I don't necessarily think it's going to come into play. It's over 4 seconds ahead of the leaders. They're just now exiting out of turn 2, going into turn 3. Those drivers, they're coming out of turn 4. I don't think we're going to end up seeing, especially with the racing we're seeing right here at the front, I don't think that traffic's going to come into play. We're going to have 10 laps to go next time by. And Aubrey Powell, for a moment, showed the nose on Nathan Stapleton. But Stapleton's had a really good car. They made good adjustments there on that pit stop. He was able to fight his way up to the race lead. Now can he hang on to it? Stapleton looking for his first career Duracell Ultra Light Series victory. He ran full-time last season as well, so he's been on a winless streak, if you will. He's also, however, looking for his first career win in the NNSCRA overall. One of the few drivers that came back for a second full-time season here in Duracell Ultra Lights. David Dixon also was another of those drivers, Roberto Crown Jr., but there weren't very many of them. Powell shows the nose. Does Powell drive it in? Ooh, might have made a little contact there. And the left rear quarter panel, trying to get the 97 loose. Stapleton hangs on for the time being. Trying to back the 71 up so that way he has to battle with his teammate for second place. Tellier's still in this. Dylan Young still in this. It's anybody's game here. With less than 7 to go. Here comes Colin Grace to the inside for second on Aubrey Powell. That is exactly what Nathan Stapleton wants to see, is look at the distance he opened up there in that corner alone. Out of turn 4, it went from car in the back bumper to nearly 3 car lengths back to the new second place driver, Colin Grace. Stapleton and Grace and Tellier have seemed to have the 3 fastest cars on the afternoon, and it's going to come down, it looks like, to those 3. Add Powell and Dylan Young into this mix, though. They're not going anywhere. Big run down the front straightaway. Here comes Colin Grace looking for the top spot on Nathan Stapleton and easily going to make the pass. Now Tellier with a run. He'll look to the bottom. Can't get into the throttle. Had to lift a big ton on entry. And that's going to stack them up. Second place on back. Colin Grace going to open up some daylight, which may not necessarily be a good thing, with the way we've seen drivers be able to draft back up. Tellier now clear. Look how he immediately closed that gap back up between himself and Colin Grace. Third place side by side. Powell to the inside of Stapleton. Stapleton now going to drift back, looks like, to the 5th spot. Coming around to 3 to go. Couple of drivers looking for their first wins on the season. Colin Grace, Mike Tellier. A win for both of them would put them into the wild card conversation with 7 races left here in the regular season. 3 laps remaining. Tellier. When does he make his move? He's trying to find a lane right there through 1 and 2. Not enough room for a car to fit. Colin Grace going to have to drive defensive, take away the line that Mike Tellier wants. Tellier's right on the bumper here, too. I don't know how much of an opportunity that affords him to be able to get a run. Might need the 71 to get up to his back bumper, give him that little bit of a bubble push, but time's running out because we're coming around this next time by to see the white flag. Tellier's going to have to make a move in these next 6 corners. Can't do anything through 3 and 4. This time by, white flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Hillside. Tellier remains in the tire tracks of Colin Grace, who shades up a little. Tellier trying to get to the left rear. Will he make a move here into 3 and 4? Colin Grace looks to cover. Not enough momentum for Mike Tellier. Out of 4 for the final time. Colin Grace, first career win, takes place this afternoon at the Hillside Raceway. Colin Grace leading a race high 56 laps. And this may have been the race that puts Grace into the playoffs. After a tremendous drive, a great job of holding off a hard-charging Mike Tellier, and Colin Grace will become the 12th different driver to find a checkered flag here in Season 2. Third Haas Racing driver to go to victory lane. And we'll have to wait to see how the points shake out. Grace came into this one 12th in points. Was this enough to move into the top 7 and not have to rely on that victory for a playoff spot? Or is Colin just outside in one of the wild card positions heading into our next race at Iowa Speedway? We'll have to wait and find out. Standings are official. Let's take a look at them here. Great drive out of our entire top 5 here this afternoon. Any one of those 5 looked like they were capable of winning this race. Grace with the win. Tellier bringing it home in 2nd, his best finish of the season. Aubrey Powell will bring it home in 3rd. So I believe we had, 3 of the Haas racing cars finish up inside of the top 6, with Dylan Young finishing solid in 4th. Keep an eye on him tomorrow in the Cup Series race. Nathan Stapleton in 5th. Wes McCoy is going to finish in 6th position. Eli Bright in 7th. Craig Batson, after leading 43 laps this afternoon, will get 8th. Sean Galligan, good run in 9th. And Nathan Fogler is going to complete the top 10. Autumn Brooks will get 11th. Cody Majorek in 12th. He had the fastest lap of the race. Chris Dollerton brings it home in 13th after starting the pole. Roberto Crown Jr. in 14th with Brody Kupski in 15th. Roberto Crown Jr. finishing inside of the top 15. Where did Cam Wright Jr. finish? Finished in 24th. That is 10 positions difference from Roberto Crown Jr. to Cam Wright Jr., which means that next time out at Iowa Speedway, the gap for the points lead Cam Wright Jr. over Berta Crown Jr. by 2 points. It's getting interesting. For those 15 valuable bonus points for the regular season champion, that battle closes up after the conclusion of Hillside. Drivers that did not finish well, that really needed good runs this afternoon. We didn't hear anything out of third in standings. Jordan Anderson, he gets 19th here in this one. Juan Garcia off the heels of his first career victory at Charlotte, 23rd. We already documented Cam Wright Jr. down there in 24th. Michael Turner, who's fighting for a wild card spot. Same for Dave Smith, 25th and 26th. The skid continues for our Daytona winner, Skylar Taylor, 27th. This is certainly going to drop Skylar Taylor out of the top 7 in overall standings. Now he's going to be battling in the wild card territory. And not a great run for Jackson Haywood either, who came into this one 4th in points. So a lot of drivers that were running really well in the standings struggled here this afternoon. A lot of it the byproduct of where they cycled out after green flag pit stops. However, the 28 drivers that finished, all finished on the lead lap. The only driver that did not reach the conclusion, mechanical failure, took Daniel Voiles out early on in this one. He will finish in the 29th position. But Colin Grace, 12th different driver to go to victory lane here in the first 13 races. Man, things are getting very interesting in that wild card battle for sure. Can't wait to see what it looks like heading into Iowa Speedway. But congratulations to him on first career win here in the Duracell Ultra Lite Series. Very encouraged by what we saw here this afternoon and what we're going to see in tomorrow afternoon's Duracell Next Gen Cup Series race to close out this race weekend from Hillside. Hope you guys enjoyed this afternoon's event. If you did, be sure to give me a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We've shown you full fishing results, and you're now looking at the point standings of the result of this afternoon's race from Hillside. We'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to cap off this race weekend here from Hillside Raceway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, Offline Racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.